The reason why we held this meeting as a consortium was because of the huge interest that we have had from various stakeholders on matters of science communication.
The scientist thinks that the media has not been reporting their content right. The media also has a perception that the scientists don't have time for them or they are always busy, which has always been a problem. So anytime there is a communique or a broadcast, you always have an issue where the scientists will come back and say, why did you put this content out? It should have been this way.
There is a need for us to make sure that our communication is clear and is also well translated by these people to the population. And if we talk a lot, use scientific terms and all this, it will make that they will not be able to translate efficiently what we are telling them to the population, and this will make that our mission will not be understood.
Do scientists work for the science community or they work for the general public? It looks like scientists' content are meant for academic purpose, and their interest is how they can convince another scientist, but not how to communicate to us.
So there's some different levels of gaps depending on which audience you're looking at. For some people, there's a basic lack of awareness that they might not have even heard about some of these technologies. They might not know what GM crops are or what gene drive is. And so to be able to communicate with them effectively requires the work of the scientists to understand their messaging and communicate it to the public, and it requires the help of the journalists to promote that message as well. But even so, once some people know the message, there's a lack of understanding or there's a misunderstanding. Sometimes that's because there's been miscommunication on behalf of the journalists who might not fully understand the technology. Sometimes there's simply misinformation that has been put out there purposefully, and we need to counteract that. So we talked about some strategies potentially to address that.
One of the best opportunities that we got from this workshop was the fact that we were able to visit a confined field trial where GM maize is grown in Nigeria here, grown at the National Biotechnology and Development Authority Agency in ANABDA here in Abuja, who were generous to give us the opportunity to visit their facilities.
The teller maize is planted alongside the conventional maize, so they've seen for themselves how the damage fall armyworm is doing to the conventional maize and how well the teller maize is doing.
I'm a plant scientist by training, but to be honest, I've never seen a confined field trial because most of it is in the northern part of Ghana and I'm in the south. But this time I saw firsthand the teller maize and what's the difference between what the farmers are planting and what the teller maize can actually achieve for our farmers. So that was another highlight for me.
Many people appreciated that indeed when you have GM maize, it's exactly the same as the conventional maize. You can't differentiate it from your eye, you need to do the analysis. So field trips should essentially be a component of our training so that people appreciate not only the theoretical background but also see the process that the scientists go through before they have a product in the market.
You are now ambassadors of the Genetic Biocontrol Consortium. And what we expect, and I'm sure I'm speaking the mind of Dr. Willie, is that you go back from the learnings here, get your own communication strategy in place.
It's the first time I've had the opportunity to interact so closely with journalists. And before I came, I could only see the perspective of the scientists when it comes to communication. But after this workshop, now I understand the role, the special role the journalist plays, in disseminating the information that we generate in our research.
I think the workshops have generally provided an opportunity for enhanced capacity building, and it is indeed an effort that should be continued going forward.
We have to do training from across the region, because we realized, again from this workshop, we realized that the rest of the Africa regions that we've not gone to as the consortium, we do really need the kind of trainings that we've had today in this session.
We probably need to lay a firm foundation on the understanding of the basic science of emerging technologies for our audience.
People who own this information include local farmers. That is why we were talking about breaking the languages down so that they can understand.
So in Nigeria and Igbo, we're trying to translate 20 top science words in Igbo and send this to the people and say, we can just run a radio program and say, what is GMO? How can you say GMO in Igbo? Or how would you say GMO and translate bio in Igbo? And then get people to call in and then give their views on it. And then this, you see, by the end of this section, you realize the whole community gets it and say, oh, it's not even evil. There are people who have a perception once you mention GMO. So I think that we should be diverse in our communication, use modern technology and communication means to get our content out there. And I think it's been a wonderful section.
The scientists should not hide in their labs in silos, but should come out and engage the journalists or communicators more, so that what we are doing will be out there for the public to know or be aware of.
These genetic biocontrol technologies are continuing to develop really rapidly. There's going to be more products coming onto the market, more agricultural products. There's going to be more GMOs, more LMOs, more living modified organisms, the mosquitoes we talked about a little bit. That science is continuing to develop. It's going to come here whether or not we're prepared for it, right? So, you know, there's kind of two options, and one is to make decisions on these technologies in the dark without proper information about what they do, what their benefits are, what the challenges are, or we can try to inform ourselves and inform the proper stakeholders, the regulators, the experts, and also the public.
It's not a one-off. I think it's something that should be a continuous engagement, and I'm sure that as we make more and more scientists and communicators aware of this training and aware of this technology, we'll definitely be able to meet our need of making sure that the science is well communicated.